students, welcome to your next Yin Yoga practice. So as a reminder, Yin Yoga is about stillness, and it also has the goal of stretching the connective tissue in the body. So you're definitely going to stretch your muscles, but you're in a posture for so long that your muscles can fully relax, and then we gently start working into all that fascia or connective tissue that runs throughout your body. It's important to gently stretch that tissue so that you can maintain your mobility as you age, rather than starting to compress as that fascia starts to shrink in your body, which it's already doing. Once you stop growing, it starts to compress and shrink. So as you come into each posture, try to find that place that just starts to feel a little interesting. It's not necessarily your biggest, deepest stretch, but it feels something, and then try to be still. Resist the urge to fidget or move around just for the sake of moving. But if you become very uncomfortable, or if you find pain, especially in a joint, definitely feel free to move and adjust, but hopefully you can let this settle in to be a meditative practice as well as the stretchy type of practice that it is. We're going to start. I'm going to introduce a new meditation technique for you, and that is object meditation, or meditation on an object. So you will need something to do this practice, some sort of object. I have a singing bowl here that I'm just going to use as an example, and whatever object you choose, you want to place it in front of you where you can see it easily. Maybe don't put it right down in front of you so that you don't have to drop your head so much. I'm going to move mine out a little bit. That's good. And how this works is you're just going to come into your meditative posture, make sure you have a tall spine, and you're going to look at whatever object you have. You don't have to have an object right now. I'm just going to explain how this works. You're going to look at your object. Try to notice everything you can about it. Don't try to list the stuff, just visually notice. And then once you think you know what that image looks like, you'll close your eyes and picture your object in your mind. Whenever your focus starts to drift somewhere else, or the image becomes fuzzy, open your eyes to see your object again. Keep your eyes open as long as you need to. Once you feel you have that image, close your eyes and see the image in your mind. And that's all there is to it. It just sort of keeps repeating like this. So it's great for a meditation on an object to choose something that's really important to you, or things that also work well could be a candle, or even one of those faux, battery operated candles, if you live somewhere where you're not allowed to have candles. But something that is going to feel important or can symbolize something important. You wouldn't want to choose just, a pencil unless it's a meaningful pencil, that someone gave you or something, but something that's important to you. So we're not going to do this full meditation right now, but I wanted to introduce you to the idea, because soon you're going to start doing your own home practice, and this might be a meditation technique that you want to add in to your own home practice. Meditation on an object. So if you did get an object, go ahead and move it out of the way. We're going to come into our first yin posture to start our practice with a new pranayama form. So we're coming into supported child's pose. Grabbing your bolster. Bring your big toes together and your knees are going to come slightly wide. Bring your bolster in between your knees so that you can recline down and turn your head to one side. If your bolster feels like it's a little too far away, you can always bring a blanket on top of it to make it a little bit higher, or you can put your blocks underneath it to raise it up. And feel one ear pressing down into your bolster. I'm just going to lift my head a little bit so that I can talk to you, but stay in this position. So we're going to do Brahmari breath practice in this supported child's pose. Brahmari is often called bee breath because it begins with the letter B and because you sound a little bit like a bee when you do it. So how to do this breath practice? You're going to inhale through your nose And then through closed lips, for your exhale, you're going to make a buzzing or humming sound. It will sound like this. When you run out of air to exhale, you'll fall silent again. Inhale through your nose, and then on your next exhale, continue that buzzing sound. We're going to take 3 breaths of Brahmari. You do not need to be in sync with me. Breathe in and out at whatever rate you need to do. So from wherever you are, go ahead and switch the opposite ear to your bolster. I'm going to stay this way so that my voice is closer to the microphone. And 3 rounds of Brahmari. Breathing in. Coming back into silence. Brahmari is a great breath practice to do to calm yourself down. If you found it relaxing, if you did not find it relaxing, then you would not want to choose this to relax yourself. But usually, because the exhale lasts longer than the inhale, it's usually more of a restful breath practice. It's also great to do, even though you're probably by yourself right now, in a community of people, because you can hear the sound change as people breathe at different times. So you can tell that your sound is supporting the community sound, but also when you might need to breathe and you fall silent, breathe in and fall silent, you can still hear the buzzing around you coming from others. So it lets you know that the community is there to support you when you need it. Take one more full breath here in child's pose. And start to press your chest back up. Move your props off to the side. And come up to table, hands and knees. And holding on to this intention of community for our practice, take a couple breaths to move through cow and cat as you're here. So holding on as we move through our yin practice to the idea of how do you fit in to the community? Are you doing your part to help support your community? But are you also getting the support that you need? Because it should be a give and take. You shouldn't always be supporting others. You shouldn't always be taking support from others. After your next cat, come back to a neutral spine. And then walk your right arm really far forward. Your left forearm is going to come down sideways on your mat. Keep your sit bones high and then melt your chest and your armpit towards the mat. So your forehead might rest on your arm or on the mat. If it doesn't make it all the way down to the mat, you can always slide a blanket or a block underneath your head to catch it. So this is quarter dog. It's a stretch for the front of the chest and also for that right shoulder. If it feels really hard to balance here, try shifting your hips either a little forward or a little back. See if there's kind of a sweet spot where it's a little bit easier to balance. If it feels too intense, just to let your chest fall all the way down towards the mat, you can slide your bolster or a folded blanket under your chest to take a little bit of the weight and the intensity out of the stretch. If you need more and your right arm is slightly bent, walk the fingers more forward, straighten the arm more, and pull the armpit closer to the mat.
Breathing in and breathing out. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Start to lift your chest back up and either come to sit on your heels, or if that's not comfortable, you can come all the way up to your shins. Just let your arms hang and just notice for a moment how it feels to come out of that shape. You might notice some differences between one shoulder and the other. And then as you feel ready, make your way back through table. And we're going to come to quarter dog on the other side. So this time, left arm is going to reach really far forward. Your right forearm is going to come sideways across your mat. Keep the hips high as you melt chest and armpit towards the mat. Slowly breathing in. And let that breath go. Lifting your chest. Coming back to sit any way that's comfortable, just to let the arms hang. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Noticing how it feels to come out of the posture. And then shifting your weight back forward. Coming all the way down to your stomach, maybe bringing a block or your blanket with you to the front of your mat as you go. So we're coming into Sphinx, which hopefully you remember. Elbows under shoulders. If this feels too intense, walk your hands farther forward to lower yourself down. If it doesn't feel intense enough, you can put something under your elbows to bring yourself up higher, or you might try seal today. Hands into the mat, straighten your arms up into a more intense back bend. Now notice that this is nowhere near cobra or up dog because we're not engaging in that way. We're not pulling our chest through our arms. Yin postures are done very differently than our yang or vinyasa style postures. And if you choose seal and you realize after a few breaths that that feels like too much, just lower back to your elbows to come back to Sphinx. If you're in Sphinx, you can keep the head upright, or you might use a prop to drop the forehead onto a block or blanket. Relax your legs. I always like to try and put Sphinx in a yin practice, in every yin practice if I can, because it's such a great shape to add that natural curve back to our lumbar spine. You might say, well, if my low back tends to bother me, I don't want to do this because it's arching it more. But your low back is probably hurting because it's being pushed flatter. So this actually could be a really helpful posture for you to do more. Especially if you spend a lot of time sitting in chairs, in cars, or if you just notice you slouch a lot, that is all going to round your lumbar spine out of its natural curve. Sphinx is helping to put it back into its natural curve. Breathing in. Breathing out. on your next inhale, slowly lift your head if you dropped it forward. If you're in seal, go ahead and lower down to your elbows. And then everybody take your elbows wide and rest for a few breaths. Lift your head on an inhale. Press your way back up to hands and knees. And we're going to come to sitting. And a lot of us will probably want to sit up on a folded blanket for these next seated postures. So I'm going to grab mine. We're coming into shoelace next. So you're going to take one leg, it doesn't matter which one, fold it underneath you with the knee pointing as close to forward as you can get it. Your foot is coming back towards your hips, but you're not sitting on your foot. And then the other leg is going to fold on top. And you're trying to get your knees as stacked, one on top of the other, as you can. But for a lot of us, that's not going to happen. You might be more here, that's okay. If you have lost that sit bone up off your blanket, see if you can sit it back down, even if that changes the shape of your legs. If crossing both legs just does not work for you, keep the bottom leg straight and just cross the top leg over. And then notice if while you're getting your legs situated, you instinctively curled back with your upper body. Try to bring the fronts of your hip bones a little bit forward. Find length through the spine. And this might already be that interesting place for you. If it is, stay here. If you need a little more, staying tall through the spine, start to hinge forward, chest bringing you forward. Hands can help support you, or you might bring your bolster. You can bring it diagonally in front of you to support your forehead. Or if you're folding a little more, you might just lay onto the bolster. Try to set yourself up somewhere where you feel like your props are helping to support you in this fold. Somewhere where you'll be able to stay for a few breaths. Take a deep breath in. Exhale to let that breath go. And then press your way back up. Unfolding the legs slowly. Just take your weight behind you. And you might want to windshield wiper the knees a little side to side. Pausing to notice how it feels to come out of the shape. And then slowly start to find your way to the opposite side for shoelace. So other leg on the bottom, or that bottom leg can stay straight and just fold the top. Pull the fronts of the hip bones a little bit forward so you're sitting up nice and tall. And then maybe this is enough. If so, stay here. Or you might start to fold forward. Try to relax your legs, even if your shape changes a little bit when you do that. You want your muscles to be able to relax as much as they can. Use your props to help set yourself up somewhere where you feel like you have some support. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Press your way back up, sliding any props out of your way so that you can unfold the legs. Take your hands behind you, weight into the hands. Windshield wiper the knees side to side a couple times. And then pause once you feel ready. And notice. Maybe you close the eyes. Just notice how the body's feeling in this moment. then slowly coming back up to sitting. We're gonna stay seated for one more posture, and this time the legs will come out straight in front of you. So I'm still sitting up on my folded blanket. You wanna be somewhere where you can find that tall spine, hips rock a little forward to make sure you're not curling or slouching back. If you can't have your legs perfectly straight and find that tall spine, even if you're sitting up on something, you can sit up a little higher or bend the knees some. More important to find neutral pelvis and a tall spine than to keep the legs perfectly straight. Then from wherever you are, we're coming into a forward fold, maybe. If this feels like, actually this is enough, just sitting up straight, just stay here. If you're folding, again, your hands could help support you, or you could take any of your props to help support you in this fold. This is called caterpillar. And if this is really difficult for you, even just to sit up straight without any fold, you could try this at the wall, if you have a wall handy. You're going to sit really close to your wall. Roll onto your back and kick your feet straight up. And you want to walk your sit bones close into the wall. So now the floor is helping you find your tall spine as your legs reach straight up. Now if you do this and you don't feel anything in the back of the legs, that tells me you're ready to do it seated on the floor with the fold. But if this feels like a stretch to you, stay here at the wall. Deeply breathing in. Deeply breathing out. deep breath in. And let that breath go. If you're seated, start to press your chest up. If your legs are up the wall, start to bend your knees and let your feet slide down the wall towards you. Those of you at the wall, roll to one side and slowly press your way up to sitting. Those of you that were already sitting, bend the knees. Take your hands behind you for a moment, and again, notice. How does your body feel to come out of that yin posture? Where do you feel the breath, the blood, the energy again flowing a little more freely? Full breath in. Full breath out. And then we're going to set ourselves up for an elevated twist next. And this might feel a little more restorative than yin. So if you're starting to feel like we've done a lot of stretchiness, this might be a little more restful. Take your bolster sideways across your mat. And then if you have two bolsters, you can use your other one, or we're going to make sort of that fake block bolster like we did in the restorative practice. So your two blocks are going to go next to your bolster. Off your mat. Your other blanket will fold and go on top of those. So if you have two bolsters, you're making sort of an L shape with those two bolsters. And then you might want to watch me get into this and then do it for yourself. You're going to sit on the edge of your bolster away from that second bolster and scoot a little bit forward. So as you lean back, your hips stay on the bolster, your shoulder blades make it to the mat. Then from here, knees come into the chest, and both knees are going to fall over to that second bolster as your arms are going to open either to a T or to goalpost arms. Your gaze can stay upright, or you might look away from where your knees are pointing. Now this can be tricky. If your hips slide off your bolster, you might have to readjust and try again. Make sure that you have plenty of support under your hips before you start to twist. So if you're already sliding off before you start to twist, scoot yourself a little bit towards the back end of your mat. If your knees don't make it all the way over, or there's sort of space, you can grab another blanket or even grab part of the one you're laying your knees on and tuck it in between your knees so that they can really rest. If you just can't get into a shape here that doesn't feel super uncomfortable, you can always come off your bolsters and just do this twist flat on your mat. Breathing in, breathing out. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Slowly bring your knees back to center. Bring your feet back down to your mat. Pausing here for a moment. And then you're going to shift your secondary bolster over to the other side. And if you need to come up to do this, you certainly can. Just try to move slowly. And then scoot yourself over to the opposite edge of your bolster. And maybe scoot a little bit towards your feet to make sure your hips are really solidly on that support. And once you're ready, bring the knees into your chest. As the arms open, the knees fall to the left this time. Your gaze could stay up, or you might gaze towards the right hand for elevated twist. Try to let each exhale relax you just a little bit deeper into the posture. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Slowly bring your knees back to center. Bring the feet back down to the mat. Pause here for a breath. And then we're moving next into Shavasana. So you can pull your bolster all the way out from under you, or you might just push it down so that it lands under the backs of your thighs or your knees, coming into a more supported Shavasana shape. Arms can be out, away from the sides, palms up, to invite the energy around you. Coming back to that focus of community. How do you fit into the community around you? Are you supporting that community? And is it supporting you? Finding a restful shape with a long spine. As a reminder, you don't want to put a pillow or a bolster under your head that's going to push your head forward and shorten the cervical spine. It's okay to put a flatter blanket, something that keeps the spine long, to allow the body to fully rest. Breathing in and breathing out. Take a deep breath in. And let that breath go. Start to invite movement back into the body. The fingers and the toes start to wiggle. Maybe you reach the arms overhead for a big stretch. As you feel ready, hug the knees into the chest. Maybe rock a little side to side to massage out the lower back. Roll to one side and pause in a moment of gratitude towards yourself. Thank yourself for taking this time to get to know your true self a little better, to connect body, mind, and spirit. As you feel ready, slowly press your way back up to sitting, finding your way back to any comfortable seated shape. Floating the palms together in front of the heart. As you prepare to travel off your mat into the rest of your day or towards the days ahead, keep in mind the community around you. While yoga is a journey to know our true self better, it's also to figure out how we fit into something greater than just ourselves. Whether that's our connection to a higher power, or to the universe, or just to those we live around. Aiming to support the community around you, but also surround yourself with the community that is going to support you when you need it. Taking a deep breath in. Letting that breath go. And I bow in thanks to you for sharing this practice and for being a part of our virtual yoga community.